And we want to do a special shout out to one of our Patreons, Cool Uncle Matt. Thank you so much for supporting us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Horror Hour.
We all go a little mad. Forget you.
You are going to die for me.
Here's Johnny.
Hello and welcome to the Horror Hour, where we discuss, debate, and disagree on all things horror. I am Steve. We have Yutaka.
Hello.
George.
Hello.
And Liam.
Top of the morning.
And so since it is the holidays and coming up on New Year's, we wanted to do our top 5 horror of 2022. Who wants to kick us off? Yutaka, why don't you kick us off? Kick the show off. What is your number 1?
What?
Number
5.
1? 5,
Sir.
Steve. Come on.
Is it top 5?
We don't
What
give
is
the
it?
goodies up.
Yeah, top
We don't
5.
give the goodies up front.
What?
You want to go 5,
You
4,
don't
3,
give the
2,
goodies
1?
up front. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
that's so
Steve.
stupid.
Otherwise, everyone would leave us.
Are we ranking? Okay,
we
all
should
right.
probably do honorable mentions to get that out of the way.
Want to get some honorable mentions? Okay. I could start with some honorable mentions. I wanted to do a TV show. So it's not in my top 5s, but I wanted to shout out Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. I enjoyed the hell out of that anthology. Did you guys get to catch it?
I didn't actually know.
No.
I haven't started it yet. Got some other shows I'm watching.
Okay. It is really fun. Every episode is like a different time period, different kind of horror lore. Some are scary, some are more comedic. It feels refreshing. I don't want to diss another famous anthology series out there, but it's given me a little more of what I've been missing in terms of a true horror anthology. But that's one of my shout outs.
Well, I'll do a one. This one didn't make my top 10 because everyone's been talking about it, and I'm like, it's good. And I thought it was one for this year, but it just after when I was sorting through the others, it didn't quite make it. So, which is Barbarian, because I enjoyed Barbarian. I thought it was great, and it was a cool story. I really liked the acting. I liked the constant twists in it. And the score was cool. It was a nice environment. It was something different for 2022. So I liked it, but there's others here on my top that just pushed a bit more for me. But I thought it was everyone seems to be doing creepy old lady-ish weird people this year, which is the vibe for 2022, I feel, in horror.
That is the vibe for this year.
It is. But hey, I felt sorry for her. She was an icon, and bless her. And as Yutaka always says, that if it was me and him on top of that water tank, that he would do exactly the same thing. So.
I'd throw your ass off in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I don't think she'd save you, though.
No, she wouldn't
save either of us. So we're
She
both
definitely
fucked. So, yeah. I'm
but
just helping you get a quicker death.
I appreciate it. I've always said I want to die falling off a balcony into a pool. So that's half there.
Okay.
Well, there we go.
Yeah. So that would be my one.
Way to go.
Yeah, that wasn't actually in my top 10 as well. I don't even think it was in my top 20.
It is possibly.
Oh, it's in my top
10,
20. I'm sorry.
But we don't know.
We wouldn't know.
We wouldn't.
Yeah, I think. Well, you guys are only doing 1 hour. I'm pulling a pen. I'm gonna give just 3 honorable mentions.
Go for it.
Yeah. Well, one I think is just because I don't think a lot of people know of, and that is Saloon, which was that. Well, now I'm already blanking.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
This is
Deborah
what I get
strikes
for being
again.
petty. I deserve that.
Well, Yutaka brings back his memory from the other side. I will go with mine. Prey. It was like there was that and me number 5 were flipping wild, and we put it at number 6. So I will give it to Prey as my honorable mention because it was a nice, refreshing twist on the Predator lore.
Mm. Yutaka, you back with us?
Okay, yes, sorry. I just couldn't remember the country, and I didn't want to be rude about that. So, Saloon is a
Yes,
French film.
country.
Yeah, it's
No, he's
You
being
didn't get it.
facetious with the first. Yeah,
well, we're gonna have to bleep it anyways.
yeah.
I said country. I don't know what you're talking
Sure.
about.
But yeah, no, it's from Senegal. It's a French film, and it's actually multiple genres, which is actually one of the reasons why I really like it. And typically, I can't say I've seen a lot of films from that region, so it was definitely really cool to see just a new take on within the horror genre. I mean, there was action, some comedy, and supernatural thrilling elements, and it was done very well. Really liked it. And the 3 leads are hot. Just throwing that out there. Really good looking. And then the other one, because again, since we're only doing top 5, it didn't make it, but I've got to call out Torn Hearts. It is, I mean, oh my God, I just love it. I've seen it way too many times. I love the music. And I think what Bria Grant did with it was so much fun, which I still need to post that interview. But little fun fact is that there was always the color pink in a shot of the film, which I thought that was really neat.
That's a fun fact. I didn't notice that.
And then the last one I'll call out as a special shout out would be When I Consume You. And that was by Perry Blackshear. And that is very, very low budget, but it's like guerrilla style filming. And it is in the heart of New York. And it talks about addiction, mental health. And it has, you know, your inner demons with that supernatural element. And it is just visceral. And it's just very like emotionally connecting. And I really urge people to see that. But I don't think a lot of people talk about it. So, yeah.
All right, who's kicking us off with their number 5?
I can go. I don't mind. Okay. So people may know on this channel podcast that I am a big fan of found footage. So that is something just to bear in mind for my top 5. And starting off on number 5 is a fantastic new found footage movie. Evidently it's 2022 movies, but I mean new in the sense of what it's about. And that is Deadstream. I love that film. Yutaka had mentioned to me and said, hey, you gotta check this film out, it's coming on Shudder. So I watched it and I was like, oh my God, this is such a vibe. Because I don't often go, and I hold the applause to George since it is, for like I like my movies tend to be scary, especially found footage. I like horror, but the comical elements in this film are done so perfectly that it's hard not to enjoy it.
You like a horror comedy? What?
No, I know, shock horror. But Vanessa and Joseph Winter, who do this film, they are great. We've actually interviewed them on the channel. You can check that out. But this film it's shot in one location, which I love. I love an on location moment. It was shot in it's about a haunted house, and it was shot in a literal haunted house. So for me, that was iconic. The special effects, the VFX, the makeup, all fantastic. The script and the acting. I mean, I enjoyed this film so much that I would really implore people to check this out if you haven't already. I would even say, even though I know Liam detests the genre, I think he would really enjoy this film personally, because it's quite camp at times and he is extremely camp. So I think that it would, you know, fit his bill. And the main actress in it, again, who we've interviewed on this channel, Melanie Stone, just an icon. And she was beautiful in this role. So yeah, that would be my number 5 is Deadstream. Available on Shudder.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah.
I do think Liam would really actually like Deadstream.
Yeah.
I think he'd find the jokes really funny.
Yeah.
When you say he doesn't like the genre, Liam, you don't like found footage, you don't like horror comedy.
He doesn't like found footage. I think the comedy.
I don't like horror comedy. Oh, Steve. No, stop. Oh, Steve.
Just clarify.
Steve.
Yutaka, what's your number 5?
I have Alone with You, and that is also on Shudder. Oh my gosh, crazy. But really, you're gonna see a theme with some of my picks, but it was very good in terms of the space that they used, because it pretty much took place in one apartment, and it was a woman kind of also battling her inner demons, while also though trying to get out of her apartment, while reminiscing about the love of her life, even though it's kind of a toxic relationship and it's very maybe one-sided, which I kind of enjoyed because it, you know, it's George. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's really good. It's low budget. It has some really good scares, but the acting is really incredible. And there are certain shots that are just freaking beautiful. I will say there are a few where it does take place on a beach outside, and just the color scale that they do is really effective. And I just think Emily Bennett like knocked it out of the park with the acting, and she also co-directed that with, I believe now they're married with her husband. But I would definitely recommend it. And there's a cameo from Barbara Crampton.
Ooh,
Fun.
not bad.
Now I'm thinking of another film I forgot off my list. I can't believe this one too, because Liam loved this one.
Speaking of Liam, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Hellraiser. Who knew? Who knew that going into the end of this year, after vehemently hating the original, that the remake would make my top 5? I thoroughly enjoyed the remake of Hellraiser. I found what they did with the story to be a lot more engaging. I really liked the updated designs of the Cenobites. I think they looked much more obviously more realistic, because obviously times have changed. Back in Yutaka's days, it was just silly putty and a prayer.
Wow.
Shooting daggers at his eyes.
You'd be the only one saying that about Clive Barker's classic, but okay.
It was a joke.
Mhm.
I think the original for me is extremely hard to understand, but I think this makes the lore of the Cenobites and hell and all that jazz. It makes it a lot more understandable, believable, and you get the motives of what's happening in this one, which made me appreciate it a lot more, which is
That's
why
true.
it went into my top 5.
No, it's good. It's definitely in my top 10 for sure. While I miss like the dreamy elements of the 80s original, I do appreciate what they did with it. My number 5 is something that Yutaka had me watch, or he really pushed me to watch really fast, because I don't know if we reviewed it. Hypochondriac.
Oh my god, another one I forgot of.
Hypochondriac is, oh my god,
So
that
mad at
one
myself.
surprised me. I mean, I went in blind. I really didn't know. I guess I really had no expectations, but like it really surprised me how much I loved that story. Like you had the gay romance at the center of it. You had it was just really, it felt like a darker, less like comedic Donnie Darko. You know,
Yeah.
it had very like Frank the Bunny like vibes to it. But I mean, just the idea of like the trauma and the mental health, and dealing with the main character's mother's mental health and how that impacted him and his own. And it had more, and I appreciated it's hard to handle mental health with horror, right? But I think we've seen this year that it can be done really well with a lot of films across the board. And this just being one of them. I really appreciated the message at the end. And then and the relationship too, I think was really used well in supporting the main character and getting the point across in the story. So I really dug it. I don't think it's streaming for free anywhere. Is it on?
It's either on like Tubi or it is on one of the free
Is it
The free
okay?
ones. Yeah, I remember the director was tweeting about it. So it is out there and it is available. But
So yeah. So please do yourself a favor. Definitely check it out. If it's Tubi, wherever, go watch it.
And it has a very
Interesting.
like somebody was eating cheeks and like they decided to throw in a scare.
Oh, probably one of my favorite jump scares.
It was so
this year. It's so good. Yes. So, sexually confusing to be scared at the same time.
Oh.
But yeah, I'll leave it a hypochondriac. That's my number 5. I think that George, I think it's back to you.
Okay, my number 4, carrying on the found footage. It is VHS 99. Because obviously you're probably aware that when I say we, I mean me and Yutaka love VHS 99 on this channel and VHS in general. And after the huge success of the first VHS on Shudder last year, I was like, how can they top that? It was the biggest opening, but they did. And then that VHS 99 is now the biggest opening ever on Shudder, and it's deservingly so. I mean, I loved VHS 94, and I also love VHS 99 as well. But this one definitely, again, shout out to my favorite of all of the. I mean, all of them were great, but my favorite was actually again, the Winters. There's at the end, the To Hell and Back was just fantastic, and again, it was comical. And I said that to him. I was like, I don't normally go for this, but you just know how to make it laugh, but still make it scary and crazy. And they just did an amazing job. But everyone on that did a fantastic job. They were all brilliant. We had Mag 11. I mean, so many people that did great ones. And I love 90s, like VHS. Obviously, VHS 1 and 2 were fantastic, and then Viral we all kind of went, oh,
we don't talk about her.
Yeah. And then when they came back to Shudder, we were like, oh my god, this is crazy. And this is again continuing. I'm so excited for the next installment.
85. Oh my god,
so good.
Some have already been filmed.
It's gonna be.
We're primed for a 23 release then, huh?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Probably,
because
right.
I think Scott Derrickson's was already in the can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Gigi just finished hers. Yeah.
There's some great ones. But while you wait for that, if you haven't already, do go and check out VHS 99. It's a lot of fun. And if you love fan footage, you'll love it. But even if you don't, there's just great stories, and they're great short stories. And you can, in between, you can stop, go make a cup of tea, go and get a drink, come back, because you don't have to be really, it's one after the other. It's an anthology. So it's great. And again, on Shudder. So check it out. My number 4.
And Yutaka, on to you.
So this director kind of was a very huge standout from VHS 94, and that's Chloe Okuno. And so I have at number 4 Watcher, which stars Michael Monroe, and I love this film. One, it's shot beautifully, and I think it has this wonderful slow build of tension that once it gets to there's like a pivotal scene that just, I mean, when I think of horror, I think of this because it is so like creepy, gets under your skin. And I think Bern Gorman is fantastic in this. And yeah, I mean, look, if a woman's trying to tell you like she's being followed, or just believe her. There's a lot of gaslighting in this film. And it's so good though, and the performances are really great. And I promise you, like that, just makes its way to a wonderful ending. And I think this was shot in Bucharest, right? I think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
Bucharest for Budapest, wasn't it? It was shot somewhere else in Europe.
For somewhere else in Europe.
To stand in for another place in Europe, yeah. Because all Europe is the same.
Yeah.
No, I thought
No, she said it was shot somewhere else.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oops.
We did interview her. She did tell us that. Yes.
I thought, because originally it was going to be in another country, or was it going to, no, it was going to be in New York, right? And then COVID. And so they had to move it.
Check out the interview, guys, on the channel.
Yeah.
So sorry. old Deborah here. But it is a very, like, it's just beautiful. This film is shot just, so many great scenes. Yeah.
And Liam, you're number 4.
I am going to jump onto Yutaka's love train, and I'm going to say that my number 4 is also Watcher. I very rarely enjoy slow burns, but I think because of the way Watcher is done, there's, even though it's a slow burn, it's a constant. You just have a constant unease throughout, which helps, shall we say, in making you forget that it is a slow burn. Again, as you said, everything about it's beautiful. The acting, outstanding. Terrifying moment. Spread out, which makes it even better because it's terrifying. Okay, like I still feel uneasy. I'm still feeling. Oh shit! It's terrifying. Oh, okay, no, I'm back. No, still just I'm uneasy. So that's a good way to keep you going throughout. And I think I got a lot more appreciation for it as well after the interview. When we were finding out things, like
just breaking
all of
down
the scenes.
shots. Yeah,
He was breaking down the shots and things like that, which really added a layer of appreciation for like how well it was made. So yeah, that pushed Watcher to number 4 for me. So go check out the interview if you have seen Watcher, because as I said, what Chloe tells you does add a layer of appreciation.
and it is on Shudder, and you can actually purchase it, physical copy if you want.
Yeah, you can only purchase it in the UK. It's not on Shudder.
Oh, what? Sucks for you.
We've had this conversation many a time. We don't get anything you get.
I know.
It's a shame.
But Watcher is good though. That's a slow burn that earns its crescendo. I think it. Yeah, very good.
That actually got a jump scare out of me too. Like, it was good.
Oh yeah. My number 4, I'm gonna go with Barbarian, and I think, I think George, that was your shout out, right? Yeah. I just love that this weird one slipped through, right? And I don't think we all realized how weird it was gonna be. I thought it was marketed great. I mean, like, I wonder how much of the marketing kept people from seeing it, because it looked kind of like they were hiding the weirdness. Like they had it look very like, oh yeah, it's a generic weird film, like do you trust him? Do you not trust him? Is it, I mean, it just kind of felt like very one thing, but it truly was refreshing. I love, I don't know. For me, this was kind of like the Malignant of this year.
Not the Malignant.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Malignant of this year, right? Because it's like, it's the weird film you didn't think was going to be so weird, but it ended up going like balls to the wall crazy. It's I thought it was comedic. I thought Justin Long was really funny in it. Like they just took a piss on people like that character, and I enjoyed that piss that they took. I know there's questions about whether the main character made some smart decisions or not so smart decisions.
Oh no,
but
was full on
Oh,
stupid.
no smart decisions. None.
But you know what? If she was so smart, we wouldn't have an incredible movie. So we need those bad decisions for the plot to progress in the way that it does. So that's my defense for that character.
Oh, I love Tess, but
yeah.
No.
If
you see a string coming out of a concrete wall, you do not pull that. Ever.
No, you do not. No.
Ever.
That's the thing is, I don't know. I would probably be the idiot that pulled it.
Well, I guess we know who's dying first.
That's why you're white.
Listen. Pulling the string wasn't the problem. Going down was the problem. Don't go down.
Well, no, because
I hear Liam does that a lot.
I should rephrase that. Going down in general isn't a problem, but going down in that house was the problem. Enough on going down. George, what's your number 3?
Well, actually, it goes in pretty well because this person is all about that, and it's Pearl. Pearl is my number 3, and as we know, she loves a good time. I appreciate this film, and I think my appreciation for them, because I know there's a lot of people who don't like it. I know there's a lot of people like Liam who've only just watched it anyway because it's still not available in the UK officially.
People don't like Pearl.
I've seen a lot
I
of
didn't like Pearl.
You didn't like Pearl. But I think what helped me, and this is like, when people say, oh, it's like the vibe. I watched it in New York in an American cinema where they started playing like a trivia game before the film started. I was like, what the hell is this? Some woman came on the screen and was like, welcome to this movie quiz. And I was like, what the hell is going on? It was just me.
Shows up.
Oh my God. I was like, this is so weird. And obviously it was my first time in an American theater. So of course I have to ask for a medium popcorn, no butter, and a small Diet Pepsi, which I did. And I just really enjoyed the film. I just thought it was fun because Yutaka had said to me, I was like, which one should I go and see, Barbarian or Pearl? And he was like, I think Pearl's probably more your bag. And he was right. And I'm so glad I made that choice because it is. But I just loved it.
You also kind of said you were going with your parents. And I thought, well,
true. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if your parents are going to see, mother's boobies bouncing all around. Yeah. I figured they'd be okay with Pearl.
But then in the end, they went to see that murder mystery with, I know there was like a weird murder mystery that came out that was like set in the, like supposed to be like it was like an old style murder mystery. I don't know. They said it was fine. It was funny. It was like an American film. I don't know. Anyway, that's by the by. I'm talking about Pearl. I loved it. I loved the vibe.
See how they run?
I mean, I don't know what it was called. There's no point in asking me. It was set in like the 1920s or something. But Pearl was fantastic. I love Mia Goth. I think she's fantastic, phenomenal. And this gave me a real appreciation for X because I enjoyed X when it came out, but everyone like seemed to really love that film, which is absolutely fine. And I was like, oh, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, but this one like really got me into the vibe, and I'm like so excited for Maxine next year. Like I think what Mia and Ty West are doing is like a really exciting trilogy, and I'm looking forward to seeing it completed. But yeah, I love the color grading.
Well, in 2030, when it eventually comes to the UK.
I will have to fly to the US to watch it first.
Oh yeah,
we won't be getting Maxine for a while. No. And it's crazy, but yeah. So I'm going to say Pearl for my number 3. I just loved the vibe of it.
Come out in March, I think, too.
Maxine.
Yeah, that's when we get
Pearl in March.
Yeah, no, I mean.
Oh, you mean Pearl?
Yeah, because I think they tweeted about that. This was, well, it's got to be. It'll be in a certain magazine.
We'll see. When it's announced. Okay, but yeah, so Pearl, I loved it. I thought it was crazy. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, it was a bag.
She is a star. Yutaka, what is your number? Where are we on? 3? Your number 3.
Well, this is probably going to coincide with one of Liam's, but it would be Revealer, another little gem that happens to be on Shudder. With, it first off, we have the 80s vibe in Chicago. So I already love the look, the style. And then you give me that like punk rock. And then it's also very sex positive. I mean, we got 2 actresses who just are able to meet each other's chemistry. Also, there's like this, certain dance sequence that is just amazing. And I want to see the 7-minute cut of that. Please, Luke. But it's just so good. And there's, basically takes place at a peep show booth. You've got one actually stuck in the booth, and then you've got that, you've got the Christian good girl who's always she'd be out there.
The Steve of the group.
Yes, picketing Planned Parenthood.
That good. I mean...
Okay, well, maybe Steve wouldn't do that, but you've got the one who's like, oh my God, this place is a sin kind of stuff. And so while they're locked inside this peep show, store, whatever they call it, I don't know. You've got the apocalypse going on outside. So they're trying to help each other get out of the situation while also just coming to terms with themselves, and it's really freaking good. And I just think the whole thing works. And again, you know, very limited budget, and the fact that they put on what they did, it's so good. I loved it. So
It is a good one. That not sure if yeah, no, that is definitely in my top 10. That was in my top 10. Liam, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is The Black Phone. I thought Ethan Hawke was phenomenal. I shouldn't have been as wet as I was.
But that's what happens when you drink.
Well, as an
Can't control your
alcoholic,
bladder.
I just got that scared of weed. It's like I was 9 months pregnant.
mm-mm.
Why do I do this? Yes, The Black Phone, Ethan Hawke, amazing. The child actor, not annoying, which was very, very refreshing. Come on, kid actors, they're annoying. We can see it and still enjoy it. It's fine.
This
but
was some
these
like
two,
this
these
was
two
yeah.
weren't annoying, so I was very surprised and pleasantly surprised with
They
this one.
acted their asses off.
They did. It was a very surprising film. I didn't think it was going to be as twisty and as good as it was. So yeah, that's why I put Black Phone at number 3, because I thought it was better than I thought it was going to be. Even though Yutaka was constantly talking about how amazing it's going to be, I was just sitting there going, sure, Jan, live your fantasy. But then I watched it and I was like, oh, god damn it, he was right.
Honestly, I flew to New Orleans so I could see it early. And it's really good. And I'll tell you what, seeing it in theaters with a full packed house, and I mean, when Madeline McGraw has some of her line delivery is just so good. And so it just got cackles from the audience. And then when she straight up knocked that kid over the side of the head with that rock,
good for her.
I appreciate that.
That was one film I was bummed with what they showed in the trailer.
Yeah.
I feel like I really like The Black Phone. I can't fault the movie for the trailer. You know, I felt like the trailer really spelled out the arc of the movie. Now, but that's a marketing issue.
I mean, stop watching trailers.
Well, then how are we going to talk about the hot new thing coming out? I guess we could do
trailers.
That.
Yeah, but trailers never used to do that, so we can't say that for every single. The movie's been around since the 20s, and we can't. And it's the internet, unfortunately.
No. But speaking of trailers, though, I will tell you. I mean, this is not to get out too much of a tangent, but the Scream trailer, that one, that's how you do a trailer. That's how you vague and beautiful.
The teaser, you mean?
The teaser.
I was going to say the Scream 5 gave away everything.
No, the Scream. They learned their lesson. But no. The six teaser. That's how you do it. So hopefully that's what happens in the future. But anyway, my number 3 is Deadstream. To kind of hop on that train, that was one that I was I hate to say that I was surprised at how much I loved it, but I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun, whatever. I was cackling. I was creeped out. The joke that got me the most was, I think he's like up in the hallway, and then Melanie, she's like, come find me. And he's like, no, you come find me. And it was I was dying. So yeah, I think, but it's also like effectively scary. So I think, but what we were saying with the horror comedies is like, when they're done well, I think you really have to really tweak the highs on both ends, right? Because if you have like a mostly scary movie with a few jokes in it, then it's mostly just a horror movie. But to get like a true horror comedy, I mean, you really need to nurture both sides of it to get a perfect blend. And I think they did that perfectly.
Like Scream.
Like Scream. That's a film that does it. Evil Dead, I would say, also does that. But yeah, I think so that's definitely.
Unless you're talking about the remake.
Not the remake.
There wasn't a lot of jokes. It was a great film, but not a lot of jokes.
And that is one of my.
Where are the jokes?
But I appreciate it because it's like a side universe, so it's like I can give it that. Anyway, George, what is your number 2? We're coming up towards our tops now.
So my number 2 is Scream. I really enjoy. Could you imagine if it wasn't even in there? No, I really enjoyed this film.
Not even in my top 20.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The reason it's not my number 1, people are going, "Oh, George always talking about it," is because obviously it's part of a franchise, and it's currently my least favorite of the franchise. I appreciate it as its own film, but in the whole, it's not quite there. But then I've had a lot longer with the other 4 films, so I think over a lot of repeat watches.
In the hole, not on the hole. In the hole.
What did I? No, on the whole. It's on the whole.
You said in the hole.
Did I? Sorry, Freudian slip.
Not for you lately.
No slips there. But yeah, I thought this was a really great way to kind of move the story forward, to kind of have your legacy cast and also introduce your new cast. And the new cast, for the most part, is fantastic. I think they are great, and I'm really looking forward. I am really looking forward to Scream 6. Even regardless of the whole, we won't talk about the situation. With that situation, I'm really looking forward to seeing it and seeing what it's got. I mean, that teaser trailer got me going. I thought I love the darkness of it, and I've always kind of wanted more dark Scream films, because again, they have always had. I mean, the comedy is so beautiful in the Scream films, but the last one did a really good job of kind of mixing. I mean, they were the perfect match for that franchise. Ready or Not was fantastic. So really Science did an amazing job with it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing their next one. So yeah, my second is Scream 2022.
I mean, we could go on a tangent about how you don't like Sam's character.
Yeah, and nobody does. So
I do.
Yeah, but you're nobody.
Use me. But anyway.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, people with no
I
taste
think
do.
there's someone.
And now,
I think the person that's walking around here looking like a pound shop version of needs to pipe down.
well, if you think I'm going to listen to somebody who's wearing, if I'm think I'm going to listen to someone who's wearing a fucking grandma jumper, all right, who looks like they just come out of Brantano or whatever it's called, I don't know.
What?
I don't know, whatever those charity
Relish
shops.
chic, okay.
I don't know why I was.
Do you mean
Princess Diana,
Bernard?
but it's giving Princess Anne. Let's.
Do you mean Bernardo's?
I don't know what it is. I don't go to charity shops, but
You,
whatever.
you know, I honestly thought he was trying to make a joke off Brian Boitano, the figure skater, and I'm like, what is he talking about?
What would Brian Boitano do if he was here right now? He'd probably kick an ass or two. That's what Brian Boitano do.
Thank you, Lee.
But yes,
I honestly was like, George doesn't know who that is.
my second is Scream. I meant it like Sam. Hey, I'm looking for. Maybe she can change my mind in the next film. Who knows? I just didn't.
Maybe you should watch Bed Rest.
Maybe I should watch Bed Rest. I've got nothing against Melissa. I just don't like Sam. I just think she's not a great character. So yeah, thank you.
We'll talk about that later. Anyway, Yutaka, you're number 2.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's my number 2 and number 1 are going to be no surprise. But VHS 99 is my number 2. I really, really enjoyed this one. I loved all the segments. Honestly, it really encapsulated the late 90s, obviously. Like from the punk rock to Legends of the fucking Hidden Temple. Oh my God. That was so good. And to Hell and Back. And then, of course, this the Stitch Hail Ratma. I mean, all of it. And I think all the directors did a really wonderful job. Obviously, I got a new song from Dressage, who did the vocals for Bitch Cat. I was so excited. And yeah, and I just happen to have like a little VHS, right there.
There she is.
Poster? What is that?
It's an actual VHS tape of VHS 99. From KD
You
Video.
can't play it.
No, you actually. I mean, I could go find a VCR, but yeah. But yeah, no, they actually same thing. I've got the black phone over there as well. But yeah, it was just so much fun. I was so happy when 94 came out because I really do think, like George, it revitalized the brand.
Yeah.
It really did, to where it just, which is really funny because I've heard a couple people say they really don't like 94. And I'm like, excuse me?
That's wild.
I heard it's okay because I really do like that person, but they said they put viral ahead of 94.
Okay.
That Android segment of 94 alone is like
What Timo did was oh my god.
Fantastic.
Like, oh my god.
I
And
needed a feature length of that.
oh my god. Well, that man
Seriously.
is working hard on so many different films. But I would love to see that. So yeah, VHS 99. It's a freaking party. And it's funny because I do rag on George about, God, George, really another found footage. But there were some really solid found footage films that came out this past year.
Yeah.
And one thing I forgot to call out about Deadstream. I think this is the first found footage film that has an actual score. Because typically you would not.
Right.
And I thought the use of that was genius, and I had so much fun. So, but again, Vanessa and Joseph Winter, I can't wait to see what they do next, because just their practical effects and the creature effects, and their direction. And same thing, I adore Maggie Levin, and I loved that cast and all of that. So yeah, VHS 99.
Absolutely. And Liam, bring us into your number 2.
We don't need to see
my
number 2, sir.
No, we're not that kind of
humor.
I
Sorry.
wouldn't take a number 2 on YouTube. That's for my OnlyFans.
Not another teen movie called. No.
on my chest.
I would be honored. No.
So my number 2 is the one that has already been mentioned, and it is Revealer. Yeah. Lovely. Yutaka said everything about it, but
There she is.
sexy 80s neon, like great soundtrack, great acting, a very surprising story. Obviously when you read the bio of a Christian activist and a stripper get locked in peep show booths together during the apocalypse, it doesn't obviously give much away, but then you watch it and it turns into like a horror character study. Like it's phenomenal.
It really is.
Yeah. So yeah, like they just did such an amazing job. So I had to put it at number 2.
I can't remember the entire line, but I love that. Did you just give me a coos bruise or something like that? What was that?
Yeah, something like that.
I was like, can somebody please put that on a shirt? I honestly would love to see this on the big screen. And hopefully that will happen in the future.
I was going to say, when you brought up VHS 99, I'm happy that we got to see that at Brooklyn Horror Fest. That was something that was fun to see on the big screen. So hopefully...
Oh my God, it so was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hoping with these, these lower budget kind of horror films being championed, I hope we see more of that.
Absolutely.
Next year. My number 2 is Scream. It is probably... It's in my top 3 of the franchise. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It kind of revitalized my love for the franchise more than when 4 came out. More than that, because I remember I've only been able to see 4 and 5 in theaters because I was in college when 4 came out. So it was fun. Me and my classmates went to see that. This kind of took it and elevated it. Unlike George, I love Sam as a character. I just love having a final girl who isn't a victim to her mental health, or at least learning not to be a victim to her mental health. And that kind of creating this own inner demon dynamic. She's a complicated final girl, which we don't, the final girl, because, we get like the innocent, look at the history. You have the Laurie Strodes, right? The innocent final girl.
Another person George doesn't like.
But,
See you in a
they
bit,
were
guys.
very innocent, right? The Girl Scout final girl. And then we got the who I love, but I also love Sydney Prescott. Then you kind of get the wiser final girl. And now I think we have a different kind of final girl, someone who's a little more, not just grounded, but like dealing with her own shit. Like, isn't a perfect person, has made mistakes, has screwed people over, and is looking to redeem that. I thought it's refreshing for the franchise. Plus, just the direction. It's funny. It has some of my favorite deaths in the franchise, actually. The score is good. Like, I don't know. I just enjoyed it. It's a hell of a
male
time.
shower scene.
And we got a male shower scene.
And of course, Jasmine Savoy Brown.
And Jasmine Savoy Brown,
which and Jenna Ortega.
So it's so funny with Jasmine, though, because I feel like Scream came out the same time Yellow Jacket Season 1 came out, and now Scream 6 is coming out the same time Yellow Jacket Season 2 is coming out.
Smart on their part.
That is
honest. Yeah, like I have a feeling that maybe this is me, like that's partially maybe why it got renewed for a third season, because they know the second season is just going to explode because they're both coming out, I think, almost around the same time. When is Scream?
The 10th of March.
Scream is 10th of March.
and then Yellow Jackets is the 24th. So okay,
so it's like coming out right on the tails of it.
I think that the whole Wednesday people like obsessed with Jenna Ortega is really going to go very well for Scream 6, because she has a lot of now hardcore fans who will go and see that film to support her, which is great, and hopefully they'll find love for her as well in the other characters.
It's interesting though, because it does, not to go too much of a tangent, but it does parallel the cast of the original Scream a little bit, because it's like you had Courtney Cox, who was had Friends, you had Neve Campbell, who had Party of Five, and it's like
this is very true.
So there's a big parallel here, and and it's just kind of very meta in its own way, and I'm appreciating that.
No, but they're all like poised for, in a sense, for stardom, because Jenna Ortega has been like, she is probably this past year's MVP in terms of horror scream queens, with everything.
Oh my god, she's done so much this year.
Yeah. So
like Scream, Studio 666.
Oh, I forgot. That is on my list, but that death was so much fun. Yes. I love that opener. Seriously, that's a fun film. And then X.
Yeah.
Which was another fun death.
Yeah.
I love that she embraces it too, right? Like it used to be where like you started in horror and you didn't really talk about it, and now it's like, she's fully taking that Scream Queen title, and I love it.
Yeah. But it's doing, she does it so well though too. And I think it is, Wednesday is just exploded.
Yeah.
And so her, I think, we're going to see a lot more. And I assume we're going to start to hear more about a second season or whatnot.
Oh, definitely. If they don't announce it like soon, like it's imminent. All right. So now we are on to our number ones, the cream of the crop.
Oh my god.
George, who's getting your trophy for number one?
So this movie was a movie that I would have heard about it at some point, but it was a movie that was suggested by our friend here at the Horror Hour, Cass. They were like, I think you would really like this film, George. So I said, okay. And that is Incantation. And they were so right, because I loved that film. Again, it was found footage. It was, Netflix has been hit or miss for me with a lot of their original horror films, but this one to me, it was just so perfect for me. I think I said it was probably the best found footage film of the last decade. I truly believe it is. The story is fantastic. The special effects, and that's got.
I've heard of this.
I fell
foreign
asleep.
film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but I know of it.
I tried watching it. I promise you. The only time I enjoyed watching it was when David reacted.
And he wouldn't look at the screen when the signal was coming up. I mean, I loved it. I watched it late one night and I was just in the mood to be scared. And I just loved it. Everything about it. It was creepy. It was a great story, great cast, great acting. And I just think, and I'd said this when we were talking again to Vanessa and Joseph about that. We had a little bit of a lull in like the 2010s of found footage because it got a little bit boring. With Paranormal Activity and stuff, it got very samey. But I really want a resurgence of that.
Paranormal Activity in the series that you love.
I love it, but nothing else came. They was just that's all that came out because nobody else wanted to do it. So I'm really looking, and this year, like Yutaka said, we had some great found footage films this year, and this obviously hits my number one, and I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, to be fair, I did watch. You did make me watch a found footage, and I actually did enjoy it.
What did I make you watch?
What was that? Curse of Aurora.
Oh,
yeah,
that was a good one.
That was great. There was just so many good ones this year, but yeah,
that was last year.
Oh, last year. Oh God, yeah. But so
was that last year?
That was last year.
Oh my God! I thought that was this year.
Mm-hmm.
Time flies when you're having fun.
We interviewed them this year, but the film had been out
the year before,
a couple of years before.
Yeah.
So I agree.
But yeah, so my number one is Incantation. It's found footage. I loved it, and yeah, I will watch it again soon because it's it's creepy.
Good enough to beat Scream in your list, apparently. So that's something.
Mm-hmm. Well, Scream 2022. The rest.
Oh. Yutaka, what's your
The
number
shade on that one. Meanwhile, he's the one who went and saw Scream 3 times, back to back to back, in the same theater, in the same seat. So somebody might need to calm it down a bit, giving Scream that shade. Meanwhile, as soon as that movie came out, I think we had an Instagram post from you in what are those things that you guys have over there? Because it's not like our big onesie thing, the huge blanket or whatnot.
The Udi with the mask.
The Udi, yes. Udi. Yeah, he had the Udi and the mask and the house slippers. That part. Oof. But he's like, I'm ready for the next one.
Yeah, I am. I'm really excited for the next one. I still like that. I still really enjoy that film. The reason it's not number one is because it's not like one of my top favorites of the Scream franchise. So that's why. That's all. I still watch it.
No, it was the shade you were giving it. That's what it was.
If you heard the shade, maybe that was on you, darling. I wasn't giving the shade. I love. Yeah. Anyway, who's next?
And that.
We already know my number one. Do I really have to say it? Because they are so tired of me talking.
Start with a T.
It does. He's excited for Yutaka to continue to talk about T2.
Yeah. Not James Cameron's T2.
Judgment Day. Right?
Oh, that's a good movie, too.
Come on, Yutaka, give us a George.
It is. I fully admitted to George, I went next level for this film. But what's funny, though, too, is I really did push a lot of people to see it that I felt would not like it, and they still had a decent time if they didn't love it. I know George and Liam, they had a good time with it, but it's not like it was this next level thing for them like it was for me. Mm-hmm. But I freaking love Terrifier 2. I love that we got to see more of Art take on this comedic campy tone. I loved that family unit, even though at the time I was like, oh man, the mom gets on my nerves, but I'm like, no, that's actually really good. And then of course the mashed potatoes.
Yutaka, that mom's getting on my nerves. I was just
Liam was like, what a queen.
Goals.
Yeah.
Goals. Get it.
I knew when I was watching, I was like, Liam's gonna love when she takes the pills and drinks all that wine. Liam's like, atta girl. And then of
Literally
course,
what I said.
and then we get Lauren Lavera as Sienna, and let's talk about just really kind of blew up the whole final girl game with this one. I think this year, I don't want to say of all time, but because there's a lot of great final girls, I just think it was refreshing because one, this film really gave me like Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors vibes, and that music. And of course, I know George loved the neons because there were some really good neons in there. But I just thought, she took a beating, but she fought back. And I really enjoyed it. And of course, I mean, the Clown Cafe. Come on. That song is a little addicting. And I really enjoy it.
Yes.
And also, it's really funny because I also feel that we have to at least call out because independent cinema really blew up this year.
Yeah.
And this was one of the things that just was only going to be in theaters for a weekend, and then it just did so well. And each weekend it kept doing bigger and better, and word of mouth. And then all the queer reaction channels started getting on that train, which I love. Seriously, go check out the Horror Bandwagon. Chew, Petty Pumpkins.
Fuck our drag.
Yeah, and well, we know why I'm not suggesting ours.
If you like Scream 3, come and watch our
People who like Scream 3 didn't, anyways. But honestly, though, they did really good.
I think you made a bold choice, George.
You
darling.
did, George.
And
You made a very bold
enjoyed
choice.
I often
Just like the thing on your upper lip. It was a bold choice.
Next.
It's the word is bold choice.
Yeah. Anyway, stop talking about me. I mean, I love it, but
yes,
Terrifier
I
2.
did see this film so many times. I saw it just as many times as George has probably seen the first Scream this month. How many times have you watched that movie this month, George? When we are trying to get you to watch new ones.
The
How many
first
times?
Scream. The first Scream, or just Scream in general, like Scream movies.
Let's hear that number. I want to hear that.
I mean, I probably watched like 1 to 5, like
how many times?
No, probably only like 8 times since 1st December.
Like all the way through 8 times, the whole franchise?
I've watched like, okay, let's
you
watch
watched
2
Scream
and let's
movies a total of 8 times.
Yeah.
And it's December 16th, or in your area.
Just turned 17th now.
Yeah. So wow. Okay. Ooh.
Cool.
But
Like it.
I've finally hit double digits on my viewings of Terrifier 2, and I'm okay with that. It's a great film.
Mm-hmm.
That is acceptable. If you want to do that, you do that, sweetheart.
But
we are a channel
like
of
Liam,
inclusivity.
Like Liam, I also branch out and have watched a ton of films this year.
Yeah, what was that number? 50 something, 60 something?
We're now at 64 because as Liam's mentioned a few movies, I'm like, oh my god, that's 65. Not on my list.
You had 65. You stopped counting at 64. You had another one that you said, crap. Oh crap, I haven't added that as well.
Oh, you're right, because it was 63 and there were 2. There was Prey and Crudda. Okay. It's probably more, but George would also probably be with me in saying that there might be some films that we did not count, that were certain found footage films. One, because I also forgot the names. But yeah.
Okay.
We might have to have a running 2023 contest on who sees the most films.
Oh, it'll be Yutaka.
It will be me. I don't have a lot.
Yeah.
If we talk about who's watched the same film that many times,
competition done. Yutaka won.
That would be George. Yes, George would be like, "I've already watched this 1,000 times."
If we're doing horrors, only horrors, Yutaka would win. But if we're opening it up to the most films,
keep talking.
All films, we could possibly have a competition on our hands.
Okay. Well, what's your number one then, Liam?
My number one is Scream. I really appreciated this new take on screen. I liked the cast. I was extremely upset that Wes was taken from me. I would
Well-
have I would have gotten rid of Mason and I would have kept Wes. Because I just thought Wes was so cute and I found Chad a bit boring. And I thought one of the twins should die.
Okay,
Well,
that
probably
reasoning
will.
I'll
Probably gonna
stand
happen.
behind.
Yeah.
That reasoning I'll stand behind. But I mean, the frosted tips, absolutely not.
Oh, I was here for it.
Yeah.
I remember back
Boy
in the
band
early
fantasies,
2000s when we all had frosted tips.
I had mine.
We all.
Yeah, I had mine.
I was a child.
George?
Well, some of us
Yeah, I
were
was
young
gonna
in the
say.
2000s, and you weren't.
No, I had blue hair, so I can't say anything.
Well, there we go. Yeah, like everything's being said about Scream.
Except the heel kick.
Okay, I'm. Oh my god!
Yeah, your favorite moment. Gosh.
Oh yeah.
How dare
Let's
you?
discuss my favorite moment. So, Gail, she's an icon. She's a legend. She is the moment.
Mhm. Those are
And
facts.
there is a scene that made me gaygasm in the cinema, and that was when she is fighting Amber in the kitchen, and then all of a sudden the camera pans to her foot, and that foot is in a fabulous stiletto pump, and it fucking boots Amber into the cooker. So good, wasn't it?
And
was
let's
good.
talk about
Gay
Amber's
as
reveal
Just
too.
gay as shit.
Amber's reveal was
Oh,
good, yeah.
Amber's
Third act
reveal.
reveal, that's
I
my favorite
laughed.
killer reveal.
I laughed so hard. Like we knew who the killers were, I would think, but like the way
Yeah, oh
they
no, I
revealed
called
it
them out in
was-
our when we did our little
Mhm.
pre-scream
I
what do we
remember.
think
Mhm.
video. I said it's going to be Richie and Amber, and I even
were
called out
correct.
because I said Amber, I went, there's a scene in the trailer where someone was caught on fire. I went, like, what happens to the actress who played Amber?
That's
in
right, because that
Once Upon a
happened
time in
Hollywood.
No, I was correct. I can't remember why I called out Richie, but yeah, I called out Richie.
the boyfriend.
Yeah.
A lot of it was like
which made
process of
me really
elimination,
angry
right?
because I wanted Richie to stay.
Yeah, I preferred Richie as
So
like the comedy
funny.
person rather than like
Yeah.
his.
So to wrap it up, I know my number one is X.
Speaking
wow.
of wrapping it up. No, I'm just,
What?
Stay safe, guys.
I loved X. I lost track of how many times I've seen this movie this year. There
good
was just
movie.
something about it. Like when I sat down to watch it for the first time in theaters, like I just like there was this 70s magic to it, and I loved I thought the suspense was great. Like the alligator scene alone is like that's how you do suspense. Like that overshot and like oh man. And I just loved what it had to say a lot about like sexuality, and it had an aging and it just like it used a kind of like a fun like 70s lens where you're supposed to be like in this like post sexual freedom of the 60s era to talk about how we kind of look at sexuality now and how we still judge people based on their choice. It was just so smart in the way they did it. I loved Pearl as a character. So that's the thing. I didn't have Pearl on my list because I was kind of my way of cheating was I kind of putting these two together. But I also didn't want the one same franchise to take up both slots. So I just couldn't put X because that was the first one. But the whole franchise really has just been has been my obsession this year. I think what Mia Goth and Ty West are doing is really phenomenal. And I'm excited for Maxine. Like,
Mhm.
I have my theories of where they're going to take this trilogy, but I don't know. I'm excited
Yeah,
for the journey.
I loved X. I
enjoyed X.
I liked it more than Pearl, but I enjoyed both films.
Mhm.
I
Didn't
loved
enjoy
that
both.
70s vibes. You know, it was very Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas.
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 Sorry.
And the original song, of course, as well. The original song that was in there, that landslide, that was written for that film.
You
Oh,
are
God.
so stupid,
Oh,
George.
Brittany Snow though did so good with
That went over Steve's head.
What?
But
Yeah, I thought that it was an original song, and then they were like,
he
like,
did.
no, it's Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood
Oh
Mac.
no!
I was like, that
Yeah.
was such a beautiful
He
song.
was really said that with his full chest. He
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my god, that song's so beautiful."
They didn't have it on
And
Coven.
considering
No.
George's like music knowledge comes from Glee, and there was a
And
beautiful
American Horror
rendition of
Story.
Landslide
Oh, did they?
in Glee
Yeah, I was
with
shocked.
Gwyneth Paltrow,
Mhm.
Gwyneth Paltrow,
I stopped watching.
Naya Rivera, and Brittany.
I'll
Yeah,
have to
no,
watch
I
that.
was very shocked that he didn't clue into that, but I still laughed when he thought that was an original song.
I was like,
for
it should have
X.
George, I'm surprised you know, like every other gay after watching Horror Story Coven, didn't
Oh,
just like listen
I know.
to every
I
Stevie
I
Nicks.
did, but it must have like
He
I
didn't
have
even know who Stevie Nicks was until Coven.
Yeah, I didn't know who she
Fair.
was until Coven, but there's a lot of people my age who you keep forgetting the age range here. Okay,
Yes, I would agree
Yeah,
to
because
some
I have
of
a
came out
friend
in-
who's way
but-
younger than you and is obsessed with her. So
Yeah,
you can't
Stevie
use
Nicks
age.
Yeah, but
is
who's
a
your friend?
huge. Hold on. Stevie
Hmm?
Nicks though
Who's
is
your friend?
a
Probably some, like,
worldwide
drag
like
queen.
Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks
She's
are
not a drag queen.
ginormous. So you though, George, who I adore, you just have a very
You live in a
tunnel
sheltered,
vision.
very sheltered bubble.
Yeah.
I'm
Absolutely.
just surprised your parents. I mean, your parents don't like Fleetwood Mac.
I mean, my mum's like listen. She's only like 40, so she listens to like Britney, Kylie.
Hold on. Again, 40-year-olds. All right, 40-year-olds still listen to Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, but my
and Stevie
mum
Nicks.
isn't one of those. My mum listened. She was always pop.
So you
Kylie,
shouldn't use her
Westlife.
age.
But that's what I go off. Like
I know, but
she was pop princess. Like
there's nothing wrong with that.
no, that's what I'm saying. So, but she never listens to that. But my stepdad listens. Like he knew who they were. But yeah, I only found them through HS Coven. And Seven Wonders is would be the song that I would die to. So
Are there any movies that we didn't discuss that you would recommend?
from this year,
Yes, from this year.
No.
Let's.
I have
Oh.
one.
You don't have any, Liam?
you've got about 7 more on your
I
list.
do, but we're not doing a top 10. We're doing a top
I didn't
5,
say
and we
top
already
10.
did. We already did honorable mentions.
Okay, well, that's fine. But we always offer recommendations, so
Yeah.
I was just curious. So
I'll
yeah,
throw one out there. I will throw out They Live in the Gray. I think Yutaka, you had me watch that one. That one I'm a little biased towards because the main character is a social worker, and that is what I do outside of horror. So I kind of related on that level, but it is a beautiful story about grief and loss and mental health and the family units and parent-child relationships and what would you do if you saw a situation going on and how would you help someone, and it's on Shudder. It's a beautiful film. I actually have it pulled up. That's Michelle Cusick
brothers.
is
Michelle.
the main.
Yep.
That performance is
It meant the world to me. Yeah, no, that's a great recommendation.
So that'll be my one other honorable mention. I know we won't we want to go too.
These aren't honorable mentions. These are just recommendations. that
Yeah.
you
Recommend.
suggest.
So I would like to recommend Orphan First Kill, because I didn't know how they were going to do a sequel to that film, considering the vibe. But they did a sequel to that film and it was iconic. And I obviously don't want to give away the twist in that film if you haven't seen it. But I was like, I had to pause it a second and be like, okay, we're doing this. So please, if you think, oh, I didn't really want to watch it because I don't know where it could go, please watch it because it's so much fun. It's just great.
I mean, yeah.
I'm tearing up thinking about it because it's so good.
It was so good.
So yeah.
And Liam, you said you're not going to recommend anything.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to recommend Buddies, because I eventually
Shit,
got
I left that
around
off
to
my
watching
list.
it. Of course he did. Yeah, I eventually got around to watching it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't expect it to be good. But I wanted before we sat down and said we were doing obviously the top 5 of the year. It was like, right, I want to make sure I've watched everything, even though I said I was going to wait for things to be obviously released officially and in cinema. I couldn't, so I just skipped, watched them all on ways that I shouldn't. And Bodies was one of the highlights from the ones that I hadn't been able to watch.
Bodies.
So-
I kind of put in that category in my head where I call it like stupid funny, and it's a good, and I mean it in like a good way. It's like stupid, but like,
Well, that
it's like
yes,
like how
I
The
think that
Office is
was-
stupid. You know what I mean? Like, but it's still funny. You know.
Yeah.
I love. Yeah, no, it's a good recommendation, Liam. I enjoyed the hell out of that too.
So can I recommend then?
It's like an
I-
80s horror though, isn't it? It's like an 80s horror for now.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like that, Liam. That's a good description. Did any of us actually offer a foreign? Oh, nope. George had incantation.
Incantation.
So I am going. It's funny that we talked about child acting, and this movie is really all about evil children. And it's called The Innocents. And think of it. Did you see that one? I can't remember if you got to see that one, Liam.
I didn't.
Ah, damn it. Okay. Think of it as like if X-Men nowadays were done properly. Because it is kids with all these powers, and but they are very young children, so they haven't matured. So it's more about them. What do they do with these powers? How do they use them? And it really becomes a tale of, well, bullying. And there, it's gut wrenching, beautifully acted, gorgeous. It's shot. Oh, love it. And I would highly recommend that. And again, we're not sponsored, but a lot of this year's films in general, horror films that are rated very well, are on Shudder. Like Shudder had a banger of a year, and this would be
Oh, should
another
have had
one.
an excellent year.
Yeah. There's
Like out of the top 10 highest rated films of the year, 6 of them are on Shudder on
mhm.
Rotten Tomatoes. So
Yeah. And one more film. And Liam loves this film, so I think he'll let me say it because I really enjoyed it. And that's Master. If you have not
I was going to
seen
say
it,
Master was one of the ones that I didn't want to remove, which was giving us a difficult time to make a top 10.
so that would be another one.
It's a good
But,
one.
yeah.
Well, that's our top 5s. Thank you for checking us
Yutaka's
out.
top 10.
What?
That's actually not my top 10. Innocence was my number 20. Master was 16.
Did you rank all 60 something of your films?
I would say the top 40 I actually did put legitimate thought into. Everything after, no. So yeah, if I were thinking about now how Liam had mentioned Prey and I left that off, I would have to probably, I would put that in my number, I'd put that in my number 29 spot, and so it would move everything down accordingly. But yeah,
I
I
does the homework.
yeah, but I gave the wrong assignment, so that's
Okay.
on me. See, I can admit that. But yeah, I mean, and so it's funny because there were, I should say this was a great year also for queer horror. Oh crud, I already forgot another film, but I didn't like it, so I'm not even going to mention that one.
All right. Well, thank you for checking us out for our top 5 of 2022. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you really like what you see, we have a Patreon with really awesome stuff, after shows and live streams, and George watching films he's never seen before, getting him all caught up on everything pop culture.
Yeah.
Anything on the Patreon that I didn't add?
No, but by the time you probably watch this, guys, there's going to be some changes.
There is.
So there'll be some that stuff. I mean, you will still get access to that because it's previous stuff somewhere, but there'll be some new stuff. So do keep an eye on our Patreon if you haven't already for some updated bits that will be changing for 2023.
And
For
so
the better, actually. We're
Yeah.
gonna have
New year, new us.
Yes.
season 4, bitches. But more, it's actually we're gonna have more things planned out, so more can join in on that because I think that's what a lot miss out on. And so we want to make sure that you all get to join in on that.
Absolutely.
very exciting. Well, till next time, Happy New Year.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour.